Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting Space Jam. Look, commercial tracks. Alright, Space Jam, a new legacy. Now I gotcha! Space Jam? LeBron? Bugs Bunny? Psst! Whoever's in charge of the editing. The movie! Where's the movie? Alright, Space Jam, a new legacy? This is the movie I asked for. What happened? Why is everything so on? And... Oh! Huh? Wouldn't it be too much to ask if we could just make up our mind? My apologies, everyone. We seem to be having some difficulties backstage, so how about we work all night on the drink of rum?
Daylight come and me one more.
Okay, excuse me, editor. In case you haven't read or even looked at the thumbnail, this is supposed to be a review of Space Jam 2, and this skit's supposed to have anything related to Space Jam, and as a Looney Tunes fan myself, Okay, we'll start the review.
Yes, people, we're about to play some basketball with our favorite Looney Tunes once again. For those of you who don't know, the first Space Jam was actually based off a Nike's commercial starring the famous basketball player Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny battling against Marvin the Martian and his minions in a basketball game. When they adapted the commercial to a big screen, the results were pretty much mixed. On the one side, it was the highest grossing sports movie, the animation was amazing, especially during the basketball game, and Michael Jordan did pull off a good performance. On the other hand, people passed it off as just a long commercial to buy the Nike shoes, and the idea of the Looney Tunes playing a sports game with a real-life celebrity seems weird. If you want to know my thoughts on Space Jam in general, I actually had a good time watching it back when I was a kid. I didn't know nor care that it came from a commercial. The Looney Tunes were the obvious reason why I continuously watch it. Even though it has a lot of mad things like the Looney Tunes world lives in the center of the earth, aliens that has the power to steal talents from the NBA to become monsters, and a last minute addition on having Bill Murray to the rescue because he's friends with the film's producer.
Yeah, it's ridiculously dumb, but it's enjoyably dumb. A product of its time. But enough about the first Space Jam. Why did Warner Bros. Decide to make another one?
Here's the thing, Warner Bros. Wanted to make a Space Jam 2 even after the financial success of the first one. What ended up happening was a development mess. Michael Jordan didn't want to play basketball with the Looney Tunes again, and they tried to make sports spin-offs featuring Jeff Gordon, Tiger Woods, and Tony Hawk, but never came into fruition. There was another Looney Tunes movie called Looney Tunes Back in Action, but that became a box office bomb, and there was a feud between director Joe Dante and the Warner Brothers executives. Joe wanted to make a tribute to the Looney Tunes cartoons in that movie, and the executive wanted to make another Space Jam, which Joe ended up not liking. It wouldn't be until 2014 when they announced that they found the next Space Jam starring professional basketball player of the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James.
Welcome to another episode of the Wonder Reviews. Let's... Ow! Quit it! Please stop hitting me! This is Space Jam, a new legacy.
In this Space Jam, LeBron wants his son to follow in his dad's footsteps, but he wants to be a game developer, so his son runs away into this Warner Brothers virtual network and transports them into this virtual world filled with Warner Brothers properties. LeBron's son gets captured by an evil computer AI played by Don Cheadle, and they strike a bargain. If LeBron beats Al's team, the Goon Squad, in a basketball game, he can get his son back and return home safely. The only people LeBron can call for help are Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and the rest of the Looney Tunes. But if he loses, Looney Tunes would get deleted, and LeBron, his son, and everyone who watches the big game will be trapped in the virtual world forever. If I can give the sequel some credit, is that it does up the risk, and especially the upgrades to the basketball competition. Since it is a virtual basketball game, it presents a lot of possibilities with power-ups and combo moves to give it some substance. However, that's the only thing I can say that did better than the first Space Jam. When we get to the actual plot of the movie, it makes you want to wish the Looney Tunes would come in as soon as possible. it's the father-son relationship where the dad wants his son to be in the family business. We saw this in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and the Book of Life, and we all know the outcome. The kid is obviously going to be a game developer. Even after LeBron meets the Looney Tunes, he wants them to play basketball in the real game instead of just letting them unleash their looniness. It makes those side plots extremely predictable and gives the movie a sour tone. When it comes to the humor, that can also be mixed. The best jokes come from anything Looney Tunes related like squash and stretch, explosions, cartoon physics, and visual gags. But when it throws in rap songs, memes, and a lot of pop culture references and quotes, they just don't work. I understand the latter since they're in a server filled with Warner Bros. Properties, but they don't really embrace the world building nor have the characters interact others outside the Looney Tunes.
It doesn't help either that this movie copied too many elements from the first movie, down to its 10-second climax. Even Bugs says this all sounds familiar. And like its own predecessor, there is no sense of logic in its own script. The only difference is that it has LeBron James instead of Michael Jordan. Now what? Brother, what a way to run a parody. Now, speaking of the Looney Tunes, it's good to see them again, but there's not much to talk about them, honestly.
Of course, you're not expecting any character development from Bugs, Daffy, and the rest, nor get some sort of biography on how LeBron James became a famous basketball player. The characters are only here to supply the jokes and interactions with each other. Starting with LeBron himself, his role in the movie is that he's the strict dad that wants his son Don to follow him in his footsteps instead of developing a video game. The movie tried to give some heart when he tried his son's video game, but he still forces him to go to this basketball camp over following his real skills. And the motive behind this restriction is so obviously cliched. As for Bugs Bunny, he goes through the same arc from the 2011 Muppets movie where he wants to reunite with the Looney Tunes to be one big happy family again. Dom is the kid that wants his dad to accept him for who he is, but he gets persuaded by the villain into trying to be him in this basketball video game despite his dad needs to win this to set everyone free. And all the other Looney Tunes are only there to rely on their one funny trait with Lola being the motivational speaker. The interactions between LeBron James and the Tunes are okay. My only issue is when he forces them to play basketball his way and instead of letting them unleash their looniness, it makes it more predictable and not overall fun. And then there's the villain of the film, Al-G Rhythm. He's just this over-the-top generic AI that wants to team up with LeBron in the virtual world so he can have the attention. When it comes to his lackeys, the Goon Squad, they have cool designs and powers, but none of them don't have any sort of personality to make them memorable. I can't say that Slackhammer was an awesome antagonist from the first film, but there was at least some intimidation and a good performance by Danny DeVito.
I'll give credit that the main voice actors of the Looney Tunes are still great. LeBron did a good job, and even Zendaya did well as Lola. But the villain was too over the top, and it's really hard to find a new actress for Granny since June Foray passed away. Seriously, have you ever wanted to hear her say,
Peter's gonna hate? Come on, I know what he works beneath in the movie, but this...
It's ridiculous! A little help,
please? Thank you.
The movie has one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to see LeBron and the Looney Tunes play basketball. And it did. With 3D backgrounds, it presents some amazing visuals from the chorus to some of the Warner Bros. Worlds, giving it a Kingdom Hearts flair to them. There is even some 2D animation when LeBron enters the Looney Tunes world and DC Comics. The designs are implemented with some amazing cartoony animation, the locations are massive to look at, and there's even one cool scene where they enter a comic book. Admittedly, it still has that straight-to-DVD style quality, but the environments are rather immersive. But the biggest highlight is the big game, and it's fun to watch. With all the effects, bonus points, and the Looney Tunes gag, that's where things get exciting. But then comes the 3D character designs and the use of the Warner Bros. Properties, which can also feel mixed. The Goon Squad designs are still awesome, but while the Looney Tunes are decent in 3D, they went into too much detail with the textures like the animal fur. Why turn them 3D when their 2D counterparts were inside the Matrix and Mad Max worlds? And since they present a lot of Warner Bros. Properties and don't have them interact with each other, Most of the familiar characters in the crowd seem non-existent, confused, cluttered, and you can tell that some of them have been copied and pasted in the movie, including its own predecessor.
It would be a lot of fun to find these Easter eggs like the Mask, Gremlins, It, the Batman movies, Hanna-Barbera, and even the Iron Giant, but they don't really incorporate to the plot at all. And yes, I know they did something like this in Ready Player One, but what worked in that movie, there was a backstory about why these familiar characters existed in that virtual world. I don't know about you, I did not have an incredible time watching this movie.
Space Jam: A New Legacy is a gigantic commercial screaming at you to buy anything Warner Bros. Related, but this commercial is too messy to buy any of it. Sure, the animation is good and the acting is decent, but the movie wouldn't let the Looney Tunes embrace their looniness, which ended up with a dumb script and uninteresting characters. Kids will have a blast with this movie, but if you're a die-hard Looney Tunes or LeBron James fan, I say give it a watch if you're curious. The rest should either pass or just fast forward on HBO Max to watch the parts when LeBron meets the Looney Tunes or when they begin playing the big game. Is it boringly bad as the live-action Tom and Jerry movie? Not even by a long shot. Is it a movie where it's beyond bonkers? That depends on your personal perspective. It throws out a lot of ideas that can definitely make this movie loony. It just wasn't loony enough, and it should never hold back. I'm gonna give Space Jam 2 a C-.
Now this is a movie that everybody's gonna be split on. Then again, that's Space Jam for you. I meant personal opinions, not pieces. Will you put me back together, please? Another crocodile prove its shiny tail. Before your eyes will see them multiply. Alright, enough is enough. This is the final. This is the very, very last straw. Who is responsible for all of this? Show yourself. I demand you show. So far, this is my favorite episode.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe me for a new review and other project every week. I'll see you soon.